Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Look now. I said ah. I didn't say the word. Okay. It's insinuated. I find it so amusing that I can go from the Nutty Professor to Diana Ross. It's actually very cool. Hello. I hope that you're doing well today. I am Big Bible Thumper. I have multiple Bibles at my disposal. Okay. I am rich in the word. This is the Southern Bible Thumper channel. This is an invitation to read the Bible. Um, yeah. In this video, we're going to be reading 1 Kings chapter 18. And it came to pass after many days that the word of the Lord came to Elijah in the 3rd year, saying, Go, shew thyself unto Ahab, and I will send rain upon the earth. And Elijah went to shew himself unto Ahab, and there was a sore famine in Samaria. And Ahab called Obadiah, which was the governor of his house. Now Obadiah feared the Lord greatly, for it was so, when Jezebel cut off the prophets of the Lord, that Obadiah took 100 prophets and hid them by 50 in a cave and fed them with bread and water. And Ahab said unto Obadiah, Go into the land, unto all fountains of water, and unto all brooks. Peradventure we may find grass to save the horses and mules alive, that we lose not all the beasts. So they divided the land between them to pass throughout it. Ahab went one way by himself, and Obadiah went another way by himself. And as Obadiah was in the way, behold, Elijah met him, and he knew him, and fell on his face, and said, Art thou that my lord Elijah? And he answered him, I am. Go, tell thy Lord, behold, Elijah is here. And he said, What have I sinned, that thou wouldest deliver thy servant into the hand of Ahab to slay me? As the Lord thy God liveth, there is no nation or kingdom whither my Lord hath not sent to seek thee. And when they said he is not there, he took an oath of the kingdom and nation, that they found thee not. And now thou sayest, Go tell thy Lord, behold, Elijah is here. And it shall come to pass, as soon as I am gone from thee, that the Spirit of the Lord shall carry thee whither I know not. And so, when I come and tell Ahab, and he cannot find thee, he shall slay me. But I, thy servant, fear the Lord from my youth. Was it not told, my Lord, what I did when Jezebel slew the prophets of the Lord, how I hid 100 men of the Lord's prophets by 50 in a cave, and fed them with bread and water? And now thou sayest, Go tell thy Lord, behold, Elijah is here, and he shall slay me? And Elijah said, As the Lord of hosts liveth, before whom I stand, I will surely shew myself unto him this day. So Obadiah went to meet Ahab and told him, and Ahab went to meet Elijah. And it came to pass, when Ahab saw Elijah, that Ahab said unto him, Art thou he that troubleth Israel? And he answered, I have not troubled Israel, but thou and thy father's house, in that ye have forsaken the commandments of the Lord, and thou hast followed Baalim. Now therefore send and gather to me all Israel unto Mount Carmel, and the prophets of Baal 450, and the prophets of the groves 400, which eat at Jezebel's table. So Ahab sent unto all the children of Israel, and gathered the prophets together unto Mount Carmel. And Elijah came unto all the people, and said, How long halt ye between two opinions? If the Lord be God, follow him, but if Baal, then follow him. And the people answered him not a word. Then Elijah said unto the people, I, even I only, remain a prophet of the Lord, but Baal's prophets are 450 men. Let them therefore give us 2 bullocks, and let them choose 1 bullock for themselves, and cut it in pieces, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under. And I will dress the other bullock, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under. And call ye on the name of your gods, and I will call on the name of the Lord. And the God that answereth by fire, let him be God. And all the people answered and said, It is well spoken. And Elijah said unto the prophets of Baal, Choose you 1 bullock for yourselves, and dress it first, for ye are many, and call on the name of your gods, but put no fire under. And they took the bullock which was given them, and they dressed it, and called on the name of Baal from morning even until noon, saying, O Baal, hear us. But there was no voice, nor any that answered. And they leaped upon the altar which was made. And it came to pass at noon that Elijah mocked them and said, Cry aloud, for he is a god. Either he is talking, or he is pursuing, or or pursuing, he is pursuing, or he is in a journey, or peradventure he sleepeth and must be awaked. And they cried aloud and cut themselves after their manner with knives and lancets, till the blood gushed out upon them. And it came to pass, when midday was past, and they prophesied until the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, that there was neither voice nor did any answer, nor any that regarded. And Elijah said unto all the people, Come near unto me. And all the people came near unto him, and he repaired the altar of the Lord that was broken down. And Elijah took 12 stones, according to the number of the tribes of the sons of Jacob, unto whom the word of the Lord came, saying, Israel shall be thy name. And with the stones he built an altar in the name of the Lord, and he made a trench about the altar as great as would contain 2 measures of seed. And he put the wood in order, and cut the bullock in pieces, and laid him on the wood, and said, Fill the 4 barrels with water, and pour it on the burnt sacrifice and on the wood. And he said, Do it the second time. They did it the second time. And he said, Do it the third time. And they did it the third time. And the water ran round about the altar, and he filled the trench also with water. And it came to pass, at the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, that Elijah the prophet came near and said, Lord God of Abraham, Isaac, and of Israel, let it be known this day that thou art God in Israel, and that I am thy servant, and that I have done all these things at thy word. Hear me, O Lord, hear me, that this people may know that thou art the Lord God, and that thou hast turned their heart back again. Then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench. Hard. And when all the people saw it, they fell on their faces, and they said, The Lord, he is God. The Lord, he is God. And Elijah said unto him, Take the prophets of Baal, let not one of them escape. And they took them. And Elijah brought them down to the brook Kishron, and slew them there. And Elijah said unto Ahab, Get thee up, eat and drink, for there is a sound of abundance and rain. So Ahab went up to eat and to drink. And Elijah went up to the top of Carmel, and he cast himself down upon the earth and put his face between his knees. And he said to his servant, Go up now, look toward the sea. And he went up and looked and said, There is nothing. And he said, Go again 7 times. And it came to pass at the 7th time that he said, Behold, there ariseth a little cloud out of the sea, like a man's hand. And he said, Go up, say unto Ahab, Prepare thy chariot, and get thee down, that the rain stop thee not. And it came to pass in the meanwhile that the heaven was black with clouds and wind, and there was a great rain. And Ahab rose and went to Jezreel. And the hand of the Lord was on Elijah, and he girded up his loins and ran before Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel. 1 Kings 17. Elijah tells King Ahab that it won't rain until he says. God tells Elijah to live near a river, and ravens will bring him food. Once the body of water dries up, God tells Elijah to go to a town that a widowed single mother will take him in. Her meager food supply stretches far enough to sustain herself, her son, and Elijah for days. Elijah's prayer revives her sick son, restoring the widow's faith. The current chapter, 1 Kings 18. In the 3rd year of no rain, God tells Elijah to show himself to King Ahab because now it will rain. Obadiah, King Ahab's governor that follows the God of Elijah, is tasked with finding grass for the kingdom's animals. Ahab's territory is experiencing a famine. Obadiah runs into Elijah. Elijah tells him to notify Ahab that he is in town. Elijah challenges Ahab's prophets to a duel in front of all Israel. Both Elijah and the prophets of Baal prepare a sacrifice on an altar and call on their God to answer them by fire. Elijah's God answers, incinerating his altar in front of all Israel. At Elijah's request, the audience takes the lives of the prophets of Baal. Summarizing 1 Kings 18, in the previous chapter, Elijah declares to King Ahab that there will be no rain or dew until he says. When we get to verse 1 in this chapter, in the 3rd year, the word of the Lord came to Elijah, telling him, Go present yourself to Ahab because God is going to go and send rain. So Elijah makes the journey to present himself to Ahab. Also, King Ahab's territory is Samaria, and the famine was severe in the territory that Ahab lives in and who he reigns over. Obadiah so that's verse 1 and 2. So that's like one thing. Then verses 3 to 6 is dealing with King Ahab and his employee Obadiah. So Obadiah is a believer. He has the same God as Elijah. So while Jezebel was killing off prophets, Obadiah hid 100 and fed them. So Ahab gives Obadiah the task of finding food, grass for the kingdom animals, because again, there's a famine. So they both divided the territory and were looking for grass. We get to verse 7. As Obadiah was walking along, trying to complete the task that Ahab gave him, Elijah meets him. Obadiah sees him, bows to the ground. Is it you, Elijah? Elijah says, yes. Tell King Ahab that I'm here. Now, from verse 9 to verse 14 is just this. Obadiah is just overdoing it a bit. What have I done wrong? King Ahab is going to kill me. King Ahab was looking for you, and we all vowed that that we didn't know where you were. And don't you know that I'm one of the Christians that I hid prophets as Jezebel was killing them off? And you tell him that you're here, he's going to kill me, just completely with fear, just so much, he said. Okay. And he just had to make sure that he had to make sure Elijah knew that he did a good deed. And it is cringe. It would be more attractive if you can just hold it down until you are recognized. That's how I felt when I read it. I was like, yeah. It certainly does look better, though it takes years sometimes. Elijah says, look, I'm talking to Ahab today. So Obadiah went and told Ahab. Ahab meets Elijah and says, it's you, the troubler of Israel. Elijah responds, I didn't make trouble. You and your family have. You abandoned the Lord's commands and followed a false god. Now, again, ordering people around. Elijah says, look, summon the people from Israel to meet me on Mount Carmel. Also, bring the 400 prophets that eat at Jezebel's table. So Ahab sent word and gathered all Israel and the prophets. Then Elijah goes before everyone and says, how long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. If Baal is God, follow him. Elijah says, I am the only prophet left. Notice no one else called him a prophet. He calls himself a prophet. He's respected as a prophet. But Elijah challenges the prophets to a duel. He says, get two bulls and let's cut them up and prepare an altar. Whichever God answers by fire, let him be God. So they both prepared a bull. The prophets of Baal went first. They called on the name of Baal. They shouted, danced, and then Elijah began to taunt them after a few hours. And he says, why don't you shout louder? You know, maybe he's busy. Maybe he's traveling. Maybe he has to be awakened. So they shouted louder and began to cut themselves. There was no response. Then Elijah says to everyone, he took 12 stones. Come here. Look at what I'm about to do. He took the 12 stones representing the 12 tribes of Israel. He built an altar. He dug a trench, and then he poured all this water on it. Elijah says, Lord God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known today that you are God, and I'm your servant, and have done all the things at your command. Answer me so the people will know that you're God." And the fire of the Lord fell, burnt up the sacrifice, the wood, the stones, the soil, the water. So we have to remember the audience is all of Israel and the 450 prophets. So now that they've seen this, they all fell and cried that this is the Lord God. So then at Elijah's command, he says, "Seize the prophets of Baal." And they seized them and they slaughtered them, the people of Israel, at Elijah's command. Elijah then tells King Ahab, "You should eat and drink because there's about to be rain." So Ahab went off to do that. Again, just demanding. Elijah climbed to the top of Mount Carmel, bent down to the ground, put his face between his knees. He told his servant to go look toward the sea. Prophet, or not prophet, the servant came back, said, "There is nothing." He said, "Go back 7 times." And then when the servant tells him he sees a cloud, then he says, "All right, tell Ahab to go home because the rain is going to come." So the sky grew black, heavy rain started falling, and Elijah ran ahead of Ahab to Jezreel.